It's on. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. Today, I have my really good friends, Lola Divinity. And Lola is a full level up coach. She mentors women that is looking to improve the quality of their life, men, money, and mental health. All right. So hi Lola. Do you want to jump on really quickly and say hello and just introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Lola. First, Min, thank you so much for having me here today with you. I really appreciate this opportunity and I'm very excited. I'm also nervous because I've never had anyone interview me before. So this will be fun and interesting. And yeah, thanks for having me here. I really appreciate it. So I think a lot of you ladies might already be familiar with me. If you're not, I'm Lola Divinity, and I pretty much just give women advice. That's pretty much what I do to just sum it all up. I give women advice based on real things that have really already happened to me. I don't pretend to know anything that I don't actually know. I only speak about things that I have been through myself. I've been through the school of hard knocks, and I am here to share those experiences with other women so they don't have to go through everything I went through. So that is my mission, is to help women pretty much quantum leap. So instead of having to go through all the hard things I went through, they can listen to my stories and listen to my advice, and they can get to their destination faster and more easily with less bumps and bruises and scrapes.
Yes. Yeah, I heard many of your videos and it's very informative, so I truly love that and I really admire you for who you are. You're so humble and you're unlike any other, what they call it, sugar lady, sugar babies or whatever, but you're like no other, you're not out there flashing yourself, social media, showing off your Chanel bags and shoes and stuff like that. For you, you're like on another level, because I used to do real estate back in the days and I was younger. And with me not having the knowledge and everything, my properties got foreclosed on. And even before that, dealing with contractors, they're not the best to deal with. So, Lola and I are actually in a mastermind together. And like she just does like, I don't know how, but you're dealing with contractors on your phone, you're getting things done. And I really admire that. So, can you share a little more like how did you get into real estate or how did you accidentally got a man to buy your house?
Okay. Well, that's exactly what happened. It was an accident. I wasn't trying to get this particular man to buy me a house. In fact, I was very young. I was about 24, and I had very low self worth. I didn't know that at the time. I was just being how I had been my entire life. And I had this friend. He was about twice my age. We had a huge age gap, and we were just platonic friends. That's it. And he had like a little crush on me, which was fine. I was an attractive young woman, and I was used to men always having a little bit of a crush on me. That was just, I mean, I'm sure all of you ladies know what that's like too. Like men just always kind of have a little bit of a crush on you, right? So
Hmm.
we were just friends. And at that point in my life, okay, I had 3 children. I had my children very young. My first one, I was pregnant at 14. I gave birth at 15. So, you can just imagine what type of life I had and what type of life I came from. So I was in the type of situation you would think a 24-year-old with 3 little kids would be in. I was not married. I had never been married. And I was in a tough situation where I actually had to move. I was living in pretty much the hood. Okay. We'll just call it that. I was living in the hood at the time. And I had a family emergency where I really had no choice but to move to this very upscale neighborhood. Okay, I needed to be near a particular family member at the time, to deal with the situation that was going on. So I needed to move to this neighborhood. And so I was looking online and I was working with some real estate agents that were trying to help me find a rental. At that point in my life, I was not looking to buy a house. Okay. I didn't really have credit. I didn't necessarily have bad credit, but I just hadn't established credit. So I had a low credit score. So I really couldn't buy a house. And I also came from the type of family that like nobody really owned houses. You know, we weren't those kind of people. So I never thought that was a possibility for me to own a house. So I was just looking for a rental at the time. And I had this older male friend who, you know, he was a friend of mine. So he was helping me try to find a rental. And because it was a very like high class type of neighborhood, there weren't a lot of rentals available. There was only like one apartment building in the whole entire neighborhood. There were just like two family houses. So there were just not a lot of rentals available in that town. So, I started to become very frustrated with the situation. It started to feel very hopeless. And this older male friend that I had, he was like trying to help me find a rental. He was being very nice to me. We had about a 20-year age gap. Okay. Um, and It was actually his idea at the time. When we couldn't find a rental, he suggested it. He said, why don't I just help you buy a house? Then you can move to that neighborhood. And the first thing I thought was, I'm not going to be able to afford that. I don't have the credit score for that. That'll never work. And he said, no. He said, no, I'll help you and we'll just buy you a house. And I thought that sounded a little bit crazy, but I was like, he's twice my age. So he's probably smarter than me about these things. He had owned several houses in his life, so I trusted that he knew what he was doing. And that's what he did. He went and he helped me buy a house. He used his credit to buy the house, and he helped me with the down payment. And when I moved in, the mortgage was very high. So in the beginning, he was actually paying the mortgage for me. So that's how it happened the first time. And when I look back now with all the knowledge I have about men and male psychology and relationships, I totally see how that happened. One, we had a huge age gap. Two, I was a damsel in distress. I wasn't trying to be a damsel in distress. I was in a really tough situation and it was like genuinely really happening. I was not pretending to be a damsel in distress to get him to help me. That's really just what was happening. And the third thing is that I was not having sex with this man.
Wow.
Those three things right there, an age gap, you being the damsel in distress, and you're not sleeping with this man. So clearly, if you're not sleeping with him and he likes you, he wants to sleep with you. So he's extremely motivated to do whatever it'll take to make you like him enough to sleep with him. So those were the three things that happened that at the time I didn't realize what the formula was. It was just naturally playing out in my life. So that's the first time I ever had a man buy a house for me.
Wow.
That's
So
the
what was
short
the
version
second
of it.
time? What was the second time?
The second time was actually it was actually the same house was technically bought for me again, but by a different man. So that
Okay.
first
How did that happen? Did you sell him the house?
Sort of. So I'll tell you. I'll
Oh
try to
my
like
God.
make the story not too long. So the first guy that bought that house for me,
Mm-hmm.
After several months after I moved into the house, he wanted to marry me and he wanted to move into the house. And I had told him all the way through the whole process of buying the house, you know, I checked with him about 100 times saying, are you sure you want to do this for me? And he kept saying yes. And I would just keep, you know, talking to him about it to keep the lines of communication open. And I would constantly say, you know, this doesn't mean we're going to be in a relationship, right? And he would say, yeah, no, I totally understand. You're just, you know, you're a good friend of mine and I would like to help out. And I said, you're not going to feel like I owe you something afterwards, right? And he assured me 100 times, no, 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 I'm not that kind of person. I'm not that kind of person. And we constantly had that discussion. And what did he do? Months later, he tried to move in. And I said, you can't move into this house. And he said, well, I helped you buy this house. So, you know, you should be in love with me and we should get married. And, you know, I bought this house so we could have a house to live in together when we're married. And I said, we talked about this so many times and you promised me you were not going to do this to me. So anyway, he went back on his word and he was lying to me the whole time. He was buying me the house because he thought it was a way he was going to guarantee a relationship with me in the future and that somehow we would end up together and we would live in the house together and be a happy couple. And I didn't feel that way about him because he was twice my age. I thought that was gross and that was too old for me. And, you know, I was just not attracted to him. You know, I was only 24 and he was like 40. I think he was like 46 or something. So
So let
maybe
me
he was
ask,
22 years
how
older.
did how did you meet this person? I'm pretty sure a lot of viewers would like to know. Did you meet him organically, or you met him knowing that, hey, he may be a potential, Mark or something like that?
I actually bought computers from him.
Okay.
That's how I had met him. I had bought some computers for him, from him. And, you know, I wasn't very good with technology. So he would like, you know, help me like, you know, setting up the computers and like showing me, you know, he was like showing me how to use them. And then we just kind of like became friends. And whenever I needed something, he just kept coming through over and over and over. And we ended up building this friendship for like a very long time. And what he was doing the whole time, which I didn't realize then, but I realize now, is he spent a long time investing into me, his time, his energy, his money, you know, all of the things that make a man fall in love with you and want to like do things like buy you a house. So,
So you was
yeah.
his mark because he saw that, oh my gosh, this poor girl, right?
Yeah, I think so.
You was his mark.
I think so. He found a single mother damsel in distress that was half his age that needed a man in her life. So, yeah, maybe he was targeting me. I don't know.
Yeah, he was targeting you. So hi,
Yeah.
Miranda. Hi, Kayla. Hi, Regina. Hi, Nadir. And hi, Tia. We got some friends watching, so I just wanted to say hello and acknowledge them.
Hey, ladies.
So,
So what ended up happening is
mhm,
he ended up getting really upset with me because I didn't want him to move in and live with me. Like, he was basically, he had like tricked me into like trying to, you know, like be together in a relationship. He was trying to like trap me out of the house. So I told him, no, you cannot live here with me. And then he got really, really upset and we stopped being friends for many years. He said that, you know, like I like ruined his life and, you know, he made up all these stories. So, he tried to get me to sell the house, and I wouldn't. And there was nothing he could do about it. And, you know, his name was still on the mortgage and, you know, so we just, we went our separate ways and he was very upset because he didn't get to marry me and he didn't get to live in the house that he had helped me buy. I ended up getting together with a different man years later, and I got him to actually buy the house from the first guy.
mhm.
You know, so I didn't have to sell the house. So we were able to do it. We refinanced and we took the first guy's name off the house and put the new guy's name on. And
Mm-hmm.
that's his name is currently on the house right now.
Okay.
My name is on the deed, however. But
Got it. That's smart.
yeah. So that's what happened the second time. After that, I ended up having it happen again, but it was a bit different this time. I had to go through a series of events, very painful events in my relationship. In the beginning of the relationship, I didn't know how to ask for what I wanted. Okay. I was in a relationship with a man that actually had some money and he liked spending it, but I still wasn't fully leveled up mentally to
Mhm.
where, yes, I was finally not dating dusty men who didn't do anything for me. I was finally leveled up enough spiritually, mentally, and physically that I was attracting men into my life that actually had something to share with me. And but the only problem is I wasn't all the way mentally leveled up to where I could actually accept, what they were trying to provide for me, what they were trying to give me. So I had
Can
to
I
go.
ask,
Hmm?
may I ask you what part of your in time of your life made you change your mind and realize, oh my gosh, I have to level up my mindset? What part of your life made you decide that, you need to level up and you need to, you know, uh, also change your mindset, to shift to being this woman that deserves and get to have it all? Because, a lot of times many women, we do feel like, we're unworthy, or it's kind of scary asking someone, oh my gosh, I want a house. So what point of your life made you realize I need to level up?
Mm. Well,
Like,
at
how did
that
that change?
point, yeah, I had thought I was leveled up because I was
Mhm.
leveled up on the outside as far as my hair, my nails, my clothing, um, my my body weight. I had had weight loss surgery. I had had a tummy tuck. I had had, a lot of plastic surgery. Like I looked leveled up on the outside, but I was still a pick Misha in my brain.
Mm.
And the day I knew I really, really, really needed something inside of me to change was I was in Costa Rica and I was literally on the floor of my Airbnb crying and sobbing and praying to God. Like I was on my knees. I was literally on my knees feeling the biggest pain in my heart. Like I thought I was going to die. I had just been cheated on again. Okay. And this is like, pretty much far into my life. I was already in my 30s at this time. And
Mhm.
and remember, right? I had already had three children by three different men who were not providing, they were not helping, they were not monogamous. Like I had already been through these things for many, many years, and I still hadn't learned how to mental up in, how to level up inside of my mind. All the years before, when I would, be cheated on or lied to or not provided for, I always thought it was because I wasn't leveled up enough on the outside. So what would I do in response to that? I would go and have another surgery, or I would go and lose weight, or I would, just try to like look better, thinking that I'm going to use my beautiful looks to attract a man who doesn't do those things, or somehow I can prevent men from doing these type of things if I just looked better. So that was my mentality. But the last time when I was in my 30s, when that happened to me, again, that was the time that I actually really started to change. That's when I realized this has nothing to do with what is on the outside of me and everything to do with what's on the inside of me, spiritually and mentally. And that's when I began my whole mental level up journey. That was in 2018, actually. That's when I went full force. I started hiring coaches. I started learning about feminine energy. I started really going hard with the finances. I mean, I started taking courses and classes all over the world. I just went completely nuts, and I just knew I couldn't go backwards. I could never, ever, ever be in a pick me relationship ever again. I was never going to be cheated on. I was never going to be taken for a ride financially ever again by a man. And I needed to really learn the mental part of this game if I was going to survive and thrive in this world full of men, having relationships with men. And I just had a different vision for my life. And it was not going to be me, in my 30s on the floor crying about the same thing I've been crying about my whole life with all my past relationships. Like, eventually you're just like, enough is enough, because I was like 34 then, 35. I'm like, I don't want to be 45 on my knees crying because I've been cheated on again. And I don't want to be looking at my bank account 5 years into a relationship saying, wow, I've been with this man for 5 years and my bank account has not grown. In fact, it may have even depleted. I may actually even be in debt now. Like, there's no reason I should be sleeping in a bed with a man for 5 whole years and I still have credit card debt. Like, I didn't want to be in my 40s going through the same thing, or in my 50s or in my 60s with the same old story, me crying on the floor, broke down, cheated on. And like, I'm still not even wealthy, like financially. I'm like, I just can't. So I went on the long journey, and I've learned so much through all of my different coaches and mentors and spiritual teachers. And now my life is completely different.
Now, tell us about, who are your coaches and mentors, and what books have you read to help you elevate, your mindset?
Oh my God, so many. I was looking at my Audible list the other day, and I have like probably close to 200 books I've read. And I mean, obviously, as a lot of you know, Hoe Tactics is an amazing book. That was one of my first books. There's so many more. There's The Unicorn Delusion. That's another great one. Right now, I'm listening to, or I'm reading Lady Balls. I'm sure a
Mm-hmm.
lot of you know about Lady Balls. That's by Mina Irfan. Um, so those are some of my favorites. I've read a lot of Dr. John D. Martini books, and
Mm-hmm.
I've taken almost all of his programs. I've done a lot of listening to um, Joel Osteen, of course. He was one of my favorites back in the day. A lot of Dr. Creflo Dollar, uh,
Mm-hmm.
R.C. Blake's. He's very, very special to me. He's pretty much like my father figure
Oh,
of
let's
like
go back.
things watch. Hmm?
Let's go back to whole tactics for a second. And I bought this book a long time ago, and it's, oh wow, I'm very impressed. You have like 200 titles and books in your Audible. I looked at mine. I think I have probably 78 books in mine. So yours is like double. But whole tactics, and it's not really the kind of book that people think it is. It absolutely really helped women, just elevate your mindset and just think differently, right? It's not about, I mean, yeah, there's some tricks that they have, but men do it all the time, right?
Mm,
Men prey on women. They know women want love, want relationship, want marriage. So men prey on it. And actually, I think men are better hoes than women are. Right? Would you agree?
Yeah, men naturally understand these kind of things. Women, it seems like we actually have to go through the school of hard knocks
Mhm.
to figure these things out, or we have to have like a mother or a sister who actually guides us and teaches us. I feel that men have this, they just know. Like they just know how to conduct themselves with women to get what they want. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're
Mhm.
natural born predators. Like they need to be able to read a person's emotions, you
Right.
know, like to know what their next move should be. And they're very quick, they're very swift, and they don't even know they're doing it most of the time. They understand women
Mhm.
naturally, and we understand them after we've gone through a whole bunch of really tough stuff.
Yeah,
And
like
we're
trauma,
lucky.
right?
Yeah. And the sad part is that a lot of women go through the trauma for many years and they still don't learn the lesson. I was one of them. I literally had 3 kids by 3 different men that dragged me through the mud.
Wow.
And I still didn't learn. I was still sitting there saying, oh, well, they were just, bad. And I just need to look prettier so I can find somebody who's going to treat me better. Like, that was not correct thinking.
Mhm.
But it took me a lot of relationships and a lot of poverty and a lot of pain to finally realize that men did not need to change. And I didn't just need to find a better man. I needed to change something inside of me so I knew how to show up to men in this world so they know how to treat me just based on the way I'm showing up. And all of a sudden, those same men who treated me poorly in the past,
Mhm.
if I had shown up in a whole different way, they probably would have treated me very differently. In fact, they're probably with women right now that they're treating better than they treated me.
Mhm.
But I showed
Absolutely.
up in a low value way. So they were treating me how I was pretty much asking them to treat me. Hey, if you show up acting low value,
Mhm.
like, showing up having relationships with men and sleeping with them, and you don't even have enough self-worth to require him to buy you a house, well, he's going to treat you like you're low value because you're treating yourself like you're low value. And I honestly believe in my heart that if a man is
Mhm.
sleeping with me creates human life. It creates babies. And what do babies need? A freaking house. That's one of the main things a baby needs is a place to live. It needs a roof over its head. So I do not think it's unreasonable to require a man to buy a roof to go over his own baby's head. I think that's like a very reasonable request, but back in the day I didn't see it like that.
Right. So let's say hi to some of the ladies. Are you ready for a question?
Sure.
Awesome. Let's say hi. Kayla, Miranda, Angel, Henrietta, Life with Lulani. And so Kayla has a question. Let's say
Wait,
hi
wait,
to her.
I have one question. Is
Sure.
it Kayla or is it Kyla?
Kayla. Oh, Kyla, not Kayla. I'm sorry, sweetheart.
Okay, just making sure.
I remember she corrected so many times. I'm sorry, babe. Let's say hi to some of the gentlemen. There's some of the gentlemen watching too. Hi, David. Hi, Joseph. And hi, Michael Lee. All right. Okay. Kyla, not Kayla. If you let me bring this up, and this is why I love StreamYard. Boom. Okay. Kyla, she said, if you can give a young woman advice on accepting assets like real estate and keeping yourself safe, what would it be?
So I can't see the question here. Can you read
Mhm.
it
Yes.
again?
If you could give a young woman advice on accepting assets like real estate and keeping yourself safe, what would it be? Or maybe do you feel like, Kyla, you need to kind of like, get a little deeper into that? Like, what do you mean by keeping yourself safe? Like, not, having any type of, intimacy with them, keeping them safe? Or what do you mean by that, Kyla? Not Kayla. Maybe when she types the question, and I think that's what that is. If you can give a young women advice on accepting assets like real estate and keeping yourself safe, what would it be? So, yeah, I'm trying to wonder what you mean by that.
I can give the advice on the part about accepting assets. I think
Okay.
if a young woman is in some type of a relationship with a man and he's trying to give her something like a house, I think it's really up to her if she wants to accept that from him. If she's in a romantic relationship with him, I think it is very appropriate for her to accept a gift like that, even if she's not in a romantic relationship with him, but she is spending her time with him,
Mhm.
and he wants to provide for her. If he is doing this because he likes the way it makes him feel to do something nice for a woman, I think that is very appropriate. As far as staying safe, obviously, if you think the person is a psychopath, and if you accept something from them, they might hurt you, then I would not accept it.
Right.
You
And this
know?
is what Kyla said. Yes, like how do you receive a large gift and make sure it doesn't come back to bite you? Say he has a change of heart.
Yeah, well, that's what happened with me. The guy had a change of heart. He was
Mhm.
really pissed off. He was really upset. Lucky for me, he wasn't a violent person. He was just a very annoying person that would send me all kinds of stuff in the mail and, leave me like a lot of text messages and,
Mhm.
just stupid, crazy stuff. I mean, you should probably maybe check out his background and make sure he hasn't had any restraining orders on him or he's never been to prison for hurting a woman or anything like that.
Yeah,
And obviously, you should have like security cameras and things like that if you're really afraid. But for the most part, if you've known somebody long enough for them to want to buy you something like a house, you've had enough time to get to know their personality to see if they're a straight up psychopath or not. Um, People can't really hide crazy for too long. So
that's true.
pretty much safe. I mean, if you have known him for long enough for him to want to buy you something like that, you already know he's not that crazy. And if you do know that he is completely crazy and you don't think it's worth it,
Mhm.
then don't let him buy you a house. Get the house from somebody who's not crazy.
Mhm. File a restraining order, right?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? And Kyla, it's interesting you asked that question. It's in the book, about whole tactics, right? He gives a lot of really good examples. That book's very, very interesting. Because it also, share why men cheat, right? Like things like that, or why men tend to be attracted to, different type of women, right? Other than the one that looks like, she's well put together, she's an angel, she's a good person, she cooks and clean for him, things like that. So, Lola, all right, how did you get so good at your investment and who taught you to save money for the rainy days?
Mm. Well, first, I'd like to say I'm not sure I'm so good at it. I'm just doing it. And as I do it, longer and longer, I learn more and more and I just kind of fine tune things. But it depends on who's judging me. I'm sure there's like some fancy investors out there on Wall Street that would look at me in my situation and say, wow, she really sucks at investing. I mean, So I'm not going to say I'm that great at it, but I think I'm doing reasonably well. My net worth has been steadily increasing since 2018, and I'm not quite a millionaire yet, but I'm not too far away from it. Probably, I don't know, maybe in 5 years I might reach millionaire status then. Maybe sooner, but so how did I get good at it, or as good as I am? Well, I learned a lot from Dave Ramsey, a
Okay.
lot. I have studied his program. I graduated from Financial Peace University. I swear by his program. I love it. And I've learned a lot from Robert Kiyosaki too. And the
Mm.
funny part is that they kind of teach opposite things, but I love both of them and I swear by both of them. Um, that and the other way I've learned and I've continued along the journey um, is because I've had 3 kids. I mean, all my kids are adults now, but having so many years where I had to make sure that I was financially providing for my children, like even when I was getting bags from men, I still needed to know how to manage the money I was getting from men, because you can have provider men all day long that are giving you bag after bag after bag. If you don't know how to manage those bags, all the money is going to slip right through your fingers and you're going to have nothing to show for it at the end. Like, you have to know how to manage the money. And I think the thing that inspired me to actually manage my money was knowing that I had 3 kids at home that needed me to do that for them, so that we didn't have to live a poor, poverty stricken life, So my children inspired me to just stay the course and do what I needed to do financially and manage my money wisely and have a financial plan for every single cent that came into my life, and just, how to budget, how to save, how to invest, how to grow my wealth. And yeah, it's because of my children. That was the motivation I had. If I did not have my children, I would probably right now look very rich. I would be driving an even better car than the one I have right now. I would have diamonds and rings on right now, and this is maybe, I don't know, like a $60 dress. I would probably be wearing a much more expensive dress, and I would have more expensive purses and shoes. And I probably wouldn't own a whole bunch of different properties. I would own one big, huge property that when people drove by, they would say, "Wow, look at that mansion. What kind of sugar lady lives there?" If I didn't have my kids, that's probably how I'd be living right now. And it would look very glamorous on the outside. But then I would probably not have a lot of money in the bank. A lot of those things would probably be financed. I would probably have a lot of credit card debt. And I would probably have just one property that I would be living in, and it wouldn't actually be making me any passive income. That's probably what my life would look like. But because of my children, I have done it a different way.
It seems like your children are a blessing, because they're the one who made you feel like you had to invest, you had to do the investment. So if anything, your children seems more like a blessing. And many times people that actually look wealthy, I mean, that are wealthy, they look like the most brokest person, right? They drive beat up cars, they wear slippers, they wear ripped clothing. That's like the wealthy look. Most people that dress rich aren't really rich. So, I mean, you're in a really, really good place. And another thing that I do admire about you is that you have your properties. You live in the United States, but your properties in the DR. So why did you invest in the DR? Can you shine some light on people?
Okay. So for me personally, the reason why I started investing in the Dominican Republic was because I wanted to invest in real estate, but I didn't want to do it with mortgages because I had learned through the Dave Ramsey program that it's very risky to take out a bunch of mortgages because you don't know for certain if you're always going to be able to cover the mortgages.
Mm-hmm.
They could, and they could like pull your note, or, like you may have tenants renting the house from you, but then if your tenants get sick or they lose their job and they can't pay you the rent, well, now how are you going to pay the mortgage? Like, it can be very risky, and I don't have a high tolerance for risk. I don't like risk. It makes me feel like I can't sleep at night. So I was very attracted to what Dave Ramsey had to say about buying real estate with cash. That was
Mm-hmm.
very appealing to me because, right, like if you just have all the cash and you go and buy the house and you don't need to get a mortgage, then you actually own that house and you don't have a monthly payment on the house. So that's what I wanted to do. But in the United States, I mean, that is possible, but I wasn't getting enough money to be able to put together, 200, 300, $4,000 at one time to go and buy a house for cash. Like that would have taken me, until I was like 50 years old, and I didn't want to wait that long. But what I realized I could do was I could buy houses that cost way less. So I started to do some research years ago, and I saw that I could buy very, very, very inexpensive houses and condos and apartments in the Dominican Republic. So I started to investigate that, and I started traveling down there to look at these properties. And I started finding properties for like $36,000. Sometimes I found a property once for $18,000. That was actually the first one that I had bought. Well, actually, I didn't buy that. My SD at the time, he bought it, and he bought it for $18,000. I had brought him down there with me.
Mm.
He bought it, and then he kept it for a little while, and then he was able to sell it for about 65,000. And then when he sold it, he gave the money to me, and then I was able to use the money to buy my own property. But I've bought properties in the Dominican Republic for as low as $36,000, sometimes 60,000. It's one of the places in the world where real estate is still very reasonably priced.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's not that hard for me to come up with 30,000 or $60,000 in one shot. So that just became a very reasonable way for me to buy real estate with cash, not having to use a bank.
Now, share with us, these properties that you invest in, 30 grand, 60 grand, what type, how much are you bringing in each month, like netting? Because I know you Airbnb these, I was going to say products. I know that you Airbnb these properties. What type of income are you generating?
Well, properties that are around like 30,000 or 60,000, they're nice. They're not spectacular. Okay. They're still near the beach. They're not right on the beach, but
Mhm.
like 2 or 3 blocks away from the beach in a very like touristy type of location.
Mhm.
Places like this, depending on how well you have them fixed up, you can rent them. You could probably profit about $600 or $700 per month.
Okay, 6 or 7. Okay, profit 7 a month. Okay.
But you still have some bills to pay. Like, I don't have mortgages there, but I still have to pay the electricity. I still have to
Mhm.
pay a housekeeper to come and, turn the place over for the next guest. And I have a property manager. So, they still have some expenses, but worst case scenario, right? If, something like COVID were to happen and I have like no renters, the place is not going to get foreclosed. It's just going to sit there, and I'm really going to have no bills. And because in the Dominican Republic, if your property is worth less than, I believe it's 150,000 now, you don't have to pay property tax.
Oh,
So yeah, if my tenants for some reason don't pay, or something like COVID happens where I just don't have any tenants at the time, my properties can just sit still, you know, uh, until COVID blows over.
mhm.
But I don't have to worry about getting foreclosed on. Like, my properties will still just be sitting there waiting for me. So for me, that's just, there's just a lot less risk there for me to worry about.
Yeah, I remember our conversation we had. You were saying how someone can just go there, especially if they work remotely, and live really well and almost like they're really rich, off like 500 and $600 monthly rent. So when you are doing these Airbnb, what do they normally go for like each night there? Because I know in Florida, where I'm at, depending on the location, they can sometimes get $40 a night, $60, 100 or $200. What type of what is the nightly rent that you can get on a unit, like on an average?
Um, there's some units you can get for around $40 per night. If they're, very nice. I mean, some people will pay like 100, or 150 or 200 per night. I have friends down there who own properties where they get like 250 per night, but their places are very extravagant, and they invested probably like 300 to 400,000 to acquire that property. My properties are not nearly that nice, so my nightly rental fee is lower. I'm currently in the process of a construction project. I'm building a small hotel, and based on the location of where this property is, like, I am directly across the street from the beach.
Wow.
So these units, I'm expecting to rent them for around 100 US per night. And I expect them to be filled probably 70 to 80% of the time.
Wow, that's awesome. And I want to share this really quickly because, remember how we were talking about contractors, how they're so tough to work with? Share that, using your feminine energy instead of masculine energy to get that to work in your favor. Could you share that story about
Mm,
how the contractor trying to rip you off and how you spin that around? I love that.
yeah. The recent situation I've been in with this small hotel I'm building. Okay, so I've never built anything before. I've only bought units,
Mhm.
either here in the U.S., or condos and apartments in the Dominican Republic, but I've never built anything. So I found a contractor, and we went to an attorney and we drew up a contract, and he clearly knows, one, that I'm American. I'm not in the Dominican Republic the entire time to supervise what is going on down there. He knows that I do not have male supervision, you know, as far as like a husband or anything like that. So I think it's really just been in his nature to try to get as much as he can from me. So he's been very manipulative for the past couple of months while he's building this project for me. We have a contract that says exactly the work he's supposed to be doing for me and exactly how much it will cost. And on multiple occasions, he has contacted me telling me that there's more work that needs to be done that's outside of the contract. Like, you know, he'll make things up pretending that, you know, he found something wrong with the foundation. Okay. Because the property I bought already had a house on it, but I had him knock down the house and basically make a whole new construction aside from the foundation. So, you know, any opportunity he can get, he will try to lie to me and tell me that, oh, I found some new work that needs to be done, and I need you to send me an extra couple $1,000 by Western Union. You guys know I have a speech impediment. Well, most of the people who are watching right now, I think they're probably, you know, people that we know, but
They
just
don't
to
know.
remind everybody,
They
what
don't
was
know.
that?
They don't know.
Okay. Well, some of them know because some of them watch my channel where I've talked
Mhm.
about it. But for anybody who's new here, I have a speech impediment. So sometimes when I'm talking, I need to just stop talking and take a breath and reset my diaphragm. You may hear me talking a little funny sometimes, but just so you're aware that when you hear me doing that, I'm just regaining my fluent speech. So I just need a second.
Okay.
So my contractor keeps trying to have me send him extra money by Western Union for made up things that he's just conjuring up to try to scam me. So he was doing this to me for weeks, and I kept coming at him like with my masculinity, you know, like trying to argue with him and tell him, no, we need to follow the contract. Or, you know, if you find something else that needs to be done, you need to contact my attorney. And, you know, like I'm trying to do it the masculine way. I'm trying to like explain things to him. I'm like butting heads with him for weeks. And it was so frustrating. And then it occurred to me, and I don't know why I couldn't think of this for myself, because with my coaching clients, right? They ask me questions like this all the time, and I know the answer for them. But when it comes to my own life, I'm too emotionally invested in the situation to where it's just hard to know the answer for my own life sometimes. So I sat there for weeks coming at this man with masculine masculinity, and we were like these two masculine creatures just, you know, fighting and butting heads over the contract and the money and the project, and I was just getting nowhere with him. And then it occurred to me a couple of weeks ago, oh my god, I'm fighting masculine with masculine, and the more masculine I get, the more masculine he gets, and we're just like this, and nothing is getting done. It occurred to me, I'm fighting him with the wrong weapon. There's one weapon that can knock a man down, and that is the feminine weapon. It is so strong and powerful against the masculine, it will win. So I reset my mind and I went back into the conversation with my contractor, and I spoke to him from a feminine way, from a feminine mindset. I did not talk about the contract. I did not talk about how I'm tired of him trying to take advantage of me. I did not butt heads with him. I didn't, you know, try to sit here and like explain things to him over and over and over. I just came to him and I said, Danny, my heart my heart is hurting. My heart is broken. I literally talked to him like this. I went completely extra and over the top, completely unprofessional. Okay. For weeks, I had stayed masculine and professional with him. But when I went into my feminine, I went into my feelings, my heart. I said, Danny, my heart is broken right now. You are breaking my heart. The day we went to my attorney to sign that contract, I trusted you. I thought you were going to be my hero. I put all of my faith in you to build this home for me. And now I am so disappointed. My heart is bleeding. It is aching. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't even want to talk to you right now because my heart hurts so much. I thought you were going to be my hero and build this wonderful small hotel for me. I trusted you. And now I feel that my heart is ripped out of my chest. It was just, it sounded so fake. But you have to remember that dealing with men, when you are over the top and fake and extra, that's when they can actually hear what you're saying. It doesn't sound fake to them. It sounded fake to me, silly to me. And that's all I did. I went over the top about how bad my heart was hurting and how every time I look at my phone and I read the messages from him, I start crying. You know what this contractor said to me? He said, oh, don't worry. I'll just use my own money for all the rest of the building that needs to be done. You know, like for all these supposed extra things he needed to do that he was trying to charge me for, he changed his whole mind and said, I'm just going to pay for it out of my pocket. And don't you worry. My main goal is to build you the best property possible because all I care about is my reputation in town and making my customers happy.
Oh my goodness.
Like, I spent weeks fighting this man with masculinity, weeks. I was out of my mind. And all I had to do was tell him that he broke my heart and I was crying.
Oh
And
my
all of a
goodness.
sudden, he just changed. And now he thinks he's providing for me. He is protecting me from being sad. And now he gets to be my hero.
Wow, that is genius.
Oh,
When you mentioned that, I'm like, oh my gosh, because that's another reason why I don't want to get into real estate, because dealing with contractors, it's not easy. And they're like the worst, exactly what you said. They're always going to tell you, oh, this needs to be done, that needs to be done. They're always like making up stories, like, and especially if it's not your specialty, you're not going to know what the hell is going on. So I totally quit that. I did some property management back then, and that is just not my thing. So girl, I commend you for that. um so okay, let's bring up Kayla. Okay, Kayla, I think, hold on really quickly. Life with Lulani. Wow, Lola, you change realities with your feminine energy. Absolutely. Women, like, we need to stop fighting men, and like stop trying to think that we're so smart. We got to be smarter and just be nice, kind, and acknowledge them. Let them know that they are awesome. That's how you get your way, instead of like do and tell them how they're wrong. And that's what a lot of what our mentor called basic babes, right? Or what is it, self-aware Barbie do? Always trying to show that you're smart, you're this and that. That's the only way that is going to get you played, when you think you're so smart. So let me just bring up what Kayla said earlier, because it seemed like it's really important to her. Oh, hang on, let me see. I keep hearing women talk about femininity trumping the old ways of professionalism, winning every time. Absolutely. And that's how we have to do, like stop trying to, try to like meet the men where they are, because we're not men. We are not that masculine energy. If anything, they're going to repel. You may look beautiful, right? But it's going to repel them from you, because why would a man want someone who's always competing and fighting with them? So, Kyla, I'm going to get this right, girl. Okay, this is what she said. Okay, this is back to how to receive a large gift and make sure it doesn't come back to bite you. So this is what she said. I don't think he's crazy, but I want to make sure it's truly mine, and I wouldn't want to have the rug snatched from under me. So Kyla, I'm pretty sure I know you're probably just trying to be very vague. So it depends on what it is. If it's a property, make sure you know it's under your name. He could be the person on a mortgage, but make sure you're the beneficiary or on the deed. So something that you may need to contact Lola directly, and she can walk you through it because she, you know, Lola is like the master of giving really good advice. So, you know, if you can't have her contact, maybe that's something that you want to contact her with. Definitely got the answer for my first question. Okay, babe. Awesome. And ladies, if you ladies have any more questions, feel free to jump in. And I want to ask you this question, Lola. Um, okay. All right, what advice would you give women who are looking for I guess you know what? You answered that earlier. So let me ask you this. What advice would you give a younger woman, you know, who is trying to level up her lifestyle? Like what type of mindset will you give her? You know, so what type of books would you recommend her? Like what advice would you give her to help her fully level up her lifestyle with men, mental health, and money? Hope that's not a bunch of questions.
Well, obviously, I would tell her to watch my channel and to take a look at the Sugar Lady Academy for sure. And I would also remind her, I would put a little warning on here, especially if she's young, that the advice I give, it's not the same for every person. It's not, you know, I give different advice to different people. If she is young and she is a virgin, or, you know, she's only had like one or two men in her life so far, the advice I would give to her would not be the same as the advice I would give to somebody who is like 27 or 35 or 52, you know, who has already been married and divorced, or who is already a mother, or who has already had a lot of relationships with men. So I would first warn a young person of that. You know, don't just try to do the things that I'm doing or deal with men the way I deal with them if you're very young and, you know, you're still very pure, and, you know, it would just be a different set of instructions. But yes, I would tell young women the first thing you need to work on is your self-worth, knowing how much you are actually worth and not giving yourself away for free or for cheap. You need to have high standards and high requirements, or men are just going to continue to give you what you ask for. And when I say what you ask for, men aren't listening to what you're verbally saying, because a lot of women walk around talking, like verbally talking about how high their standards are and how much they're worth, but their actions are not saying that. Okay?
Mhm.
Their action of letting a man come over to their house on a third date and, you know, having sex with him before he's invested in her, she could talk all day about how high value she is and how high her standards are, but he can see right through it because you let him come and sleep with you before he ever bought you a house, before he ever put a ring on your finger, before he did anything significant for you. You pretty much just told him, I'm worth daily text messages and a steak dinner. That's how much I sell myself for. And he knows that because you just told him with your actions. So I would say working on your self worth is the most important thing if you want to live the type of life where you feel like you're respected by men, where you're building your financial wealth and you're really, you know, you're enjoying your life and you feel good about who you are, and you know you're not gypping yourself. You're not selling yourself to people, to the world for too little. And when I say selling yourself, it doesn't necessarily mean money. Okay. That's just
Mhm.
the word I am using. But men give more than just money. They give their energy, they give their sacrifice. Okay. There's many ways that a man provides. But when I say sell yourself, just know, for anybody who's new here that hasn't explored my channel, when I say sell, it's not always just talking about money. Yes, money is a very good gauge, as a way of figuring out how much a man actually likes you. But that's not the only way.
Wonderful. Thank you. So let's talk about your one course that I saw, and that really like that course title just stick with me because it was hilarious, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people who went on your website and look at this particular course is laughing like how to survive dating like a stripper. Can you talk about that really quickly? What is that about? And obviously, it's really not what you really mean, but can you go into details about that a little bit?
So that course, it's more of a spiritual transmission, as most of my courses are. Like, they're not exactly courses, but they're more just a group of videos where I go deeper than I go on YouTube and just speak more freely. And I help women rewire their brain by taking the downloads I get, and then I speak them to you and you hear them, and they go into your subconscious mind and rewire your mind to think of your life and think of relationships and men and money in a different way, in a new way that's usually outside what society or your mother taught you. So that course is really about, I compare the way, let's say, strippers date and deal with men. I compare it to the way regular civilian women date and deal with men. Just how the mentality is different. But I guess you'd have to watch the course to understand it.
Hmm.
I don't want to give away all the secrets right here, but it's a pretty fun course. It's fun, the ladies who have bought it have told me how much they enjoyed it and how it's helped them look at dating in a whole new way.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Lola. I know you have to go soon, so thank you so much for your time. And ladies, if you have any more questions, feel free to throw it in. And at the same time, is there any last word that you want to share with anyone, something in your heart today, and how they can contact you?
Okay. Well, first, I would like to thank you, Min, for having me here. This was a very nice experience. I was very nervous, but you have made me feel very welcome, and you've made this a lot of fun. So I really appreciate it. And I just want to tell all the ladies out there that I'm really proud of you all for even being on a channel like this, because it clearly shows me that you're thinking about yourself, you're thinking about your life, you're thinking about your future, and you care enough about yourself to want to learn as much as you can so you can level up yourself in all areas of life. And that's really important, because if you don't think about yourself, your health, your safety, your future, your relationships, building your sweetest life possible, if you're not doing that for yourself, I promise you 100%, nobody else in this world is going to do it for you. You will go your whole life waiting for the miracle to happen. And the miracle is going to happen by you taking action steps, by you becoming the worthy woman you want to be. And once you know your self worth, the abundance pours in. People know how to treat you. When you get money, you will keep your money, you will grow your money, you will have wealth you will have health, you will have the respectful relationships that you want to have. But this is an inside job. This is not something anybody can do for you. And I've noticed a lot of women that are just starting out in the feminine journey. And, you know, it is wonderful to learn about femininity and becoming feminine and positioning yourself to attract provider men into your life. That is really wonderful stuff. But you can't fully just depend on a provider man to just show up in your life and do everything for you that you should have been doing for yourself. That will be a temporary situation where you can actually end up worse off than how you started. You have to know how to manage a provider man, and you can be with a provider man and still not be treated the way you want to be treated. Okay. This happens all the time. You need to know your self worth to even be in a relationship with a provider man and to keep him providing for you the whole entire time. Okay.
I totally agree. So, can you share one or two challenges that you want to give away for these ladies, and for everyone who's listening?
What do
Like,
you mean by challenges?
I always want to give a little challenge or homework for someone. How do they define their self-worth? Is it a journaling thing? Like, what can someone do, right? So they can get deep down inside and just know their self-worth. Like
Oof.
what?
Here's one. I've got one for you.
Okay.
You don't really know how much you really value yourself. There is a very simple way to figure it out. Whoever you're currently in a relationship with right now, whatever man or men you're with right now, look at how they treat you, what they give you, what they do for you, how much they sacrifice for you. And that is a direct reflection of how you feel about yourself. If you're with a man who doesn't spend enough time with you, who doesn't spend enough money on you, maybe you feel like you give to him more than he gives to you. If these are your complaints about him, that's a reflection of how much you value yourself. You have attracted somebody who treats you the way you treat yourself. He thinks that's okay because he sees how you treat you. So he's just coming and he's copying you. He's treating you how you treat you. If you're with a man that cherishes you and you feel completely loved, you feel completely protected, you feel like he's doing a great job providing for you, that's a reflection too. That's showing you that you really value yourself. You have very high standards. You have attracted that type of man into your life because that's how you feel about you. So tonight, think about this, think about it to yourself. What are my current relationships with men? What are they like? What do I see from them? And that will tell you how you look at yourself. And then you may see some things that don't make you very happy, but this is good. This is showing you exactly what you need to work on. That maybe your self worth is not high enough. Maybe you're not valuing yourself enough. You need to increase your price. Okay. We don't
Wow.
all know everything at the same time. We're all growing. We're all on the journey. We're all going through our own life situations. And that's what we're here for. We're here to continue to grow and to continue to raise our price higher and higher and higher and higher and higher throughout our lives. It's just part of the journey. So if you are not valuing yourself very much right now and you're not getting the things you want, like, houses or marriage or whatever it is that's important to you. Okay. For me personally, houses are important to me. For other women, they have other things that are important to them. You are all allowed to decide what you want. Okay. So if you're not getting the things that are important to you, then that's feedback to you. You need to go back to the drawing board. There's things you need to work on within yourself so you start attracting these things into your life. Okay. There's no shame if you're not all the way there yet. You're just in the middle of your journey. So, don't be ashamed of yourself. You should only be ashamed of yourself if you know your life is not working out the way you want it to, if you're not in the kind of, health condition you want to be in, if you're not in the kind of financial wealth position that you want to be in, if you're not in the kind of relationship that you want to be in, and you don't do anything about it, if you just sit there and just let yourself rot, or you sit there and you try to numb out by watching too much Netflix or drinking alcohol, or you're ordering DoorDash all the time and just doing these addictive behaviors just to numb out because you're in pain, because your men, your money, your relationships are not going the way you want them to go. If you just choose to do the addictive behaviors so you don't have to feel what is going on, then you should be ashamed of that. Okay. That means that you're not doing anything to correct the situation. So go
Wow.
out, educate yourself, get coaching, take programs. You have the whole entire internet at the tip of your fingers. There's so much help out there, and there are many free programs, and there are so many books out there. Just keep learning, keep studying, keep figuring out ways to better your life and give yourself the sweetest life possible. Nobody's going to do it for you. This is something you have to do. You can rescue yourself. You can build the life of your dreams. Okay. I
Wow.
think that's all I have to say. Sometimes I just keep going and going. But you know
Lola,
how I roll.
that was so powerful. Exactly what you said. Wow. And Miranda said you just changed her mindset in like 10 minutes. And Miranda, she's a married woman. She's fully happy married. All right. Um, that is so powerful though. So I wrote this down right here. Want to know how much you value yourself? Look at your current relationship and what you are receiving. It's how you value yourself. And if you don't, right? If you're looking at okay, what you want, and that's just the reason why it's good to have a love list, right? Because a love list is things that you desire, and this is how you also determine are you getting what you want out of life. So what you said right there was freaking like wow. It was like a truth bomb right there. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who's going to have to go evaluate themselves and how they value themselves. And you might get some people in trouble tonight, but that was just so powerful. I love that, Lola. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow. That was beautiful. So, okay, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys learn a lot. And again, this is not about tricking people or anything. It's just getting yourself into the right mindset, knowing your value, knowing what you're worth. And again, it's like what you're happy with. What are you content with, right? Because don't let other people tell you what you want, what you need. You decide exactly what you want, what you need. And that's why it's so important to have these love lists, right? And most of all, if you're living in the sugar world or something like that, make sure you're having income producing assets, not things that's depreciating items where, now you ran out of money. What you're going to do? Can you sell anything? Like what do you have? So if you want to play smart, at least play it smart. And that's how you're going to be respected. So that's why, Lola, I have so much respect for you. And thank you so much. I so appreciate your time and what you shared earlier. That was like the perfect homework. I'm going to repeat it again. Want to know how much you value yourself? look at your current relationship or situation, right? And what you're receiving is how you value yourself. So thank you so much. And thank you everyone for watching. If you want to contact Lola for coaching, mentorship, Lola is the Sugar Lady Academy, right? And also you can contact her. I'm just gonna put her information over here. Follow her on YouTube. She has a lot of really great content, and you've been so generous. You probably have like over 500 videos, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah. 550, I think.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lola. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Min, and thank you, ladies. Thank you all for showing up, and I hope I was providing value for you today. You know,
Absolutely.
that's my main goal, is to provide value to the people. So if I did that, then I'm very happy.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Have a blessed evening, everyone. Bye. Oh, bye.
Bye, Min.
Bye.